Erev Tov, everybody. Continuing with Sefer HaChinuch, we are on the fifth mitzvah, the mitzvah Shechitat HaPesach, the mitzvah of slaughtering the Korban Pesach. Says the Chinuch, Lishchot beyom arba'a asar benisan ben arbaim. We're commanded to slaughter on the afternoon of Erev Pesach, that's the 14th of Nisan, Se tamim zachar ben shana o gedi, either a lamb or a goat unblemished in its first year. We do this bebet bechira, in the chosen house, that's the Bet HaMikdash. Veze nikra korban HaPesach, and this is called Korban Pesach. Shneimar, the pasuk says, V'shahatu oto kol kehal adat Yisrael ben ha'arbaim, the entire congregation shall slaughter it in the afternoon. Ve'inyan ha'mitzvah, the description of this mitzvah, shemitkabtzin anashim miYisrael haburot, people get into small groups. Ve'lokchin min hashuk o mi beitam, and they acquire from the market or from their homes, gedi echad o setamim zachar ben shana, a goat, a lamb, 1 year old, unblemished. V'shochatin oto be'ezrat Bet HaMikdash, and they slaughter it in the courtyard of the Bet HaMikdash. Beyom arba'a asar benisan ben ha'arbaim, on the afternoon of the 14th. Ve'achar kach la'erev, and later on the evening, ochlin oto ben kulam achar ma'achalam, they eat it among themselves with other food, shemitzvato le'ochlo al hasova. For the law of the Korban Pesach is to be eaten when you are already full. Mishorshe mitzvazu, the purpose of this mitzvah, kedesh yizkeru haYehudim le'olam, so that Jews should remember for all time, hanisim hagedolim she'asa lahem Hashem yiparach b'siyat Mitzrayim, the great miracles that happened to them at the time of the Exodus. Dinei mitzvah, the laws of this mitzvah include kegon zman shechitato bayom emat, when exactly in the day is the right time to slaughter. Shehu nishchat b'shalosh kitot ba'azara, and it's to be slaughtered in 3 separate shifts. V'chi dochin alav et Shabbat, and also whether that we set aside the Shabbat to fulfill it. V'dinei menuyav, and the law of registering for the animal. You have to register for the Pesach, the Korban Pesach in advance. Ukriyat Hallel alav, and as well reading Hallel while this is going on. Utkiyat Hasoserot, and then also blowing the trumpets while this is happening. V'yete pratea, and all of other types of details, mevoarim b'masechet Pesachim, can be found in Masechet Pesachim. In fact, most of the Masechet Pesachim speaks about Korban Pesach. Only the last chapter really speaks about the holiday of Pesach. Most of it speaks about the Korban Pesach. V'noheget b'zcharim u'menei kevot. This mitzvah applies both to men and women. Bizman habayit, in the time of the Bet HaMikdash. V'ha'over alea b'mezid v'lo asa Pesach. If someone transgresses this intentionally and does not perform the Korban Pesach, chayav karet. His punishment is karet. Again, like we said, is one of the only mitzvot, positive mitzvot, that if you don't perform, you're a chayav karet. The other one was brit milah, that we just learned last week. Beshogeg, but if you did it unintentionally, eno mevi korban, if he does not bring a korban, lefi shehu echad mishosha hataim shebizdonan karet ve'en b'shigegatan hatat. This is one of 3 mitzvot whose violation would be a karet, but if you did it unintentionally, you don't bring a korban hatat. And what are those 3 sins? Vehen zeh, this one, megadef, that's blaspheming God's name, batel milah, and one violating the mitzvah of brit milah. Nope, that's the reason. we do things that commemorate. I think that's the next mitzvah is going to talk about that, such as eating the afikoman is done often to commemorate the eating of the Korban Pesach. But the mitzvah number 5 specifically was slaughtering the Korban Pesach. There was a mitzvah to slaughter it. Mitzvah Vav is mitzvah achilat besar haPesach. You have a mitzvah to eat the Korban Pesach. Lechol besar haPesach, to eat the meat belel chamisha asar benisan, on the night of the 15th, which we said is Pesach. We know is the night of Pesach. Al pi tenaim shebekatuv, in accordance with all the conditions listed in the pasuk. Shneimar ve'achelu et habasar balayla hazeh, and they shall eat the flesh on that night. Why do we have this mitzvah? Mishoshe mitzvah zu The purpose is, the same thing that we wrote in the previous mitzvah. That we should recall all the miracles that Hashem performed to us when He took us out from bondage. And that's the reason. Dinei mitzvah, the laws of this mitzvah include, how much is the minimum a person has to eat? And that answer is a kazait. And those who are registered on this animal, how they conduct themselves until they finish eating it. For example, they're not allowed to leave the location of the group. They cannot go to sleep until after finishing. They have to finish it. And all the other details can be found again in Masechet Pesachim. This mitzvah applies both to men and women. Women also have to eat the Korban Pesach. And someone who transgresses and does not eat the Korban Pesach has violated the mitzvah. Uklal gadol kechol Torah. It's a major principle in the entire Torah. Lekol she'omer shevatel mitzvat aseh. With respect to anyone who says, I am not going to perform a mitzvah obligation, a positive commandment, shekofin oto bet din im yesh koach biyadam ad sheikaimenu. That bet din coerces this person to do so until he fulfills it. He doesn't receive a punishment, he doesn't receive lashes, but bet din will force him, if possible, to do so. I'd like to read for you just a little bit of the insight here. We mentioned that one of the connections that we have with eating Korban Pesach nowadays would be eating the afikoman at the end of the Seder. So this is what he brings down over here in the Art Scroll book. He says, while in the post-temple era we cannot end the Seder meal with a portion of the Pesach offering, we do end it with a portion of matzah called afikoman. The term afikoman denotes sweets served after the meal. On Pesach night, the sages institute that one eat matzah at the end of the meal on account of our love for mitzvot, and this portion is enjoyable to us as a sweet dessert. There are various explanations which are offered as to why this ritual was instituted. Number one, it is a commemoration of the Pesach offering, which was eaten at the end of the meal, when one was already sated. Number two, when the Bet HaMikdash stood, the mitzvah of eating matzah was fulfilled at the end of the meal, when matzah was eaten together with the meat of the Korban Pesach, in fulfillment of the pasuk, umatzot umrorim yochelu. And to commemorate the temple practice, we too perform the mitzvah of eating matzah at the end of the meal. In fact, there are some opinions that hold, it's not how we follow halacha, but some opinions hold that the main mitzvah of matzah on the night of Pesach is not motzi matzah, it's afikoman. Because of this, because the main mitzvah was to eat it with the Korban Pesach, which took place at the end. Nowadays, and the third reason why we do afikoman, nowadays the primary food of the Seder is matzah, since it alone is eaten in fulfillment of a biblical mitzvah. In order that the matzah not appear as merely another course of the meal, the rabbis instituted that one end the meal with matzah so as to retain the taste of the mitzvah in his mouth. Based on the reasoning that eating the afikoman is a commemoration of the Korban Pesach, certain rules of Pesach apply to afikoman. The Ramah rules that one cannot eat the afikoman in two locations. You have to remain in your spot. Just like you're not allowed to eat the Korban Pesach in two locations. The Shulchan Aruch rules that if all the participants in the Seder fell asleep after they began eating the afikoman, they cannot continue eating it when they wake up. But as long as one person stayed awake, then they can continue eating. Also, the above reasoning impacts how much matzah one should eat for afikoman. The Shulchan Aruch rules that one must eat at least a kazait. But the Ker Moshe states that it's preferable to eat two kazait portions. Some explain the two portions are necessary because one kazait is eaten in commemoration of the Pesach, and the other one is eaten in commemoration of the matzah that accompanied the Pesach. Okay, so we see over here that the laws and rules of the Fikoman are very much connected to that of the Korban Pesach. Bezat Hashem, next time we'll continue with more mitzvot regarding the Korban Pesach. There's quite a few, and we'll continue Bezat Hashem next time.